2016, a new TV show hit the digital airwaves and needed a podcast dedicated to chronicling its adventures. An elite team has been assembled for this task. Unfortunately, the world's listeners have not heard of this Wonder Twin duo. And although they may not be known now, in the future they will be referred to as tomorrow's legends.
This is John Constantine.
I am an accomplished warlock, an expert of the occult, and a master of exorcism.
Hello, Legendaires. Welcome back to the bonus episodes of Tomorrow's Legends. I am Harley Quinn, and I am bringing you, once again, my reaction to the live-action Constantine series. And today, I covered the third episode of the series, The Devil's Vinyl. Now, before we get started, I had a little bit of news I wanted to cover. I did see that there's a campaign going around on Twitter to get Constantine a season 2 over on the DC Universe platform. So definitely check out our Twitter feed for more info. The more that I'm getting into this series, I'm really liking it. So that would be pretty cool if they were finally able to bring Constantine back for a second season. So check out our Twitter for more info on that. All right, now I'm going to jump into my reactions here. These might be a little bit more disjointed, a little bit more reaction-y, if you will. So my first point was that there was yet another Justified alum on this show. I absolutely loved Justified. It was such a good show. And I can't recall the actress's name, but she played Ava over on Justified. So if you've not watched that show, definitely do yourself a favor and go watch it. It is fantastic. Oh man. Okay, but back to Constantine. This was a super creepy start to this episode. All the dead animals all hanging around, and then there's the deer. It gives like a final kick on the floor. Oh, it just totally gave me the heebie-jeebies, but it was fantastic. It's definitely dark. Super dark. So I can understand why his character got lightened up a little bit over on Legends. But Matt Ryan, let me just tell you, I love his performances. I love what he does with the character. I love him as Constantine, and just his physical acting, especially his entrance into this episode where he's covered in blood and like yelling and screaming like all these different cantations. He's basically just learning a spell. Hilarious. I loved it. Okay, now this is a really random note, but as the episode opens, we get kind of like this aerial shot of the Chicago South Side. Is it just me, or does that look exactly like Star Labs in Central City? So I don't know if they're using the same shot or what, or if it's the same city. I don't know where they filmed The Flash, probably Vancouver like everything else, but just both of those shots looked an awful lot alike. So anyway, I love that we got this shout out to Mucous Membrane in the episode. It's always kind of funny when you get to remember that Constantine was in a band. I think in all of the various incarnations that I've seen him, they have made this tie back to the band. So always pretty funny. I love it. I would love to see Matt Ryan performing. We did get a little bit of that over on Legends, which was pretty cool. So I don't know, maybe we'll be able to bring him back and do some more of that in the back half of the Legends season. Oh, okay. Well, moving on. This was a very interesting scene with the Hand of Glory, although of course I thought of Harry Potter, but different type of Hand of Glory in the Constantine episode. And you knew that as soon as he did that, he was going to wake up the entire morgue. Oh my gosh, that was just so crazy with all the bodies like moaning and groaning, and everything was just like going all crazy. They're trying to get all of this information out of him, and then all of a sudden it just stops, and it's just silent as a morgue. It was good. It was well done. I really enjoyed that. But we get the first reference in this episode to John using his own mortality for a spell. So I liked that. That seems to be the version they've by far carried into Legends. They've done very little with blood or anything else really super dark. Like I said, I feel like they're doing that because the very dark aspects of the show just didn't really fit in with the Legends vibe. So, but I like that there's still those ties. There's these little things that are tying it together. It's not exact. He's kind of had a little bit of an evolution, and he's getting kind of, maybe a new story, a little bit of a rebranding over on Legends, but it fits in with the Legends. So I kind of like that they're almost like two distinct versions of his character in a way. I mean, they're not really, because it's supposed to be the same character, and I believe within some sort of continuity, but it's just written. It's been pretty good. So I'm enjoying that. And of course, another thing that they did over on Legends, this was not necessarily related to Constantine, but we did get an episode about the Robert Johnson legend, and that featured pretty heavily into this episode, so I thought that was pretty cool. So if you wanted to learn more about that, I actually talked a bit about the history on our Tomorrow's Legends episode of Amazing Grace, where we covered the Legends episode of Amazing Grace. So if you want more on the history of Robert Johnson and just kind of trying to understand more about how that tied into both this episode and the Legends episode, definitely go back and give that a listen. All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about our villains for a second now. So Manny, he appears, and I guess he's like the angel of death, because they definitely keep referring to him as an angel, but he just has a sinister vibe to me. I really don't trust him. So I'm guessing he's more of the angel of death. So maybe that's why I'm kind of feeling that sinister vibe from him. Definitely looking forward to getting more on him. I want to know his involvement, and I really hope we get more answers there. All right, Papa Midnite. Now this was a cool character, a very worthy foe. Oh man, anytime they bring voodoo in, again, they tied voodoo into Legends in a couple episodes ago when they introduced Constantine's boyfriend, and oh man, it's so good. So I really would hope we could get a nod maybe back to Papa Midnite. That would be so cool if they could work that into Legends somehow, to work back in with Marie Laveau and all of that. Oh, I would love that. I definitely am looking forward to seeing more Papa Midnite in Constantine. I definitely think we're going to get a little bit more of him. We kind of see him making the voodoo doll at the end. Ooh, that was a rather fitting ending, and I'm assuming that's supposed to symbolize him burning in hell or something like that. That's kind of what I took away from it. Oh man, I'm excited to see where this goes as well. All right. So, of course, it wouldn't be an episode of Constantine if I didn't talk a little bit about Zed. I absolutely loved her this episode. She totally just takes the lead and tells them what to do. She's like, no, we're going to the radio station now. She's just a much stronger character. I'm really enjoying her. And as Chaz says, she's quite useful. Even if Constantine doesn't, necessarily like being ordered around by the lady, it's still pretty funny. And she's right. So he's like, just don't have to jump so fast. Oh, so funny. I love it. Didn't really think we would see Midnite, I guess, come to the rescue. I just had a random note here, going back to Papa Midnite for a second, but I guess he totally had his own ulterior motives. So I like that Constantine was able to kind of use the record's magic, I guess, or mysticism, or whatever evilness was imbued within it, to basically send it back to hell. I thought that was pretty cool, and it kind of foiled Papa Midnite. And then again, it got this kind of dark ending, where we see the voodoo doll and Constantine's quote burning in hell. So I'll be interested to see, like I said, how these two kind of come back together and come at it. I guess I'll just end that there. I definitely want more answers on Zed. I'm sure those are coming. I have an awful lot of questions right now, and I know we're only on episode 3, but I also know there's a finite number of episodes. So I'm looking forward to starting to get some answers, because it just, especially this episode, question after question after question. But it's good. It's all good. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and leave you there with my final thoughts.
And for you dead. You never saw me, and everything is perfectly normal.
All right, so again, if you would like to listen to a more detailed podcast about this series, I would definitely recommend you listen to The Devil You Know, a Constantine podcast, and that's over on Golden Spiral Media. So until next time, this is Harley Quinn, and I'm out.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.